Welcome to the Savvy Property Investors Podcast, a weekly show that delivers the best hard-hitting property industry news, business advice, and talks that will get you ascending in the real estate industry. Now, here's your host, the amazing award-winning property and business coach, best-selling author, and serial entrepreneur, Miss Sapphire Gray.
And welcome to the Savvy Property Investors Show. Today's topic, we're going to be looking at how to achieve the best price for your sale. Our guest today is Nicole Kirk, and I'll be introducing her in a minute. But before we do that, this show is for newbie and seasoned property investors, coaches, consultants, and trainers who want to become savvy investors and build a legacy for you and your loved ones. My name is Sapphire Gray, and I'm going to be your host, and I'm your host throughout this season. Every week, we'll bring you different episodes talking about property investments, various business topics on how to grow you as an expert in business. Sometimes we interview clients so you get a really good understanding of where they are and how they've achieved success in business or property investing. And as today, we're bringing in experts in the property or business world. Today, as I said, we're going to be talking about how to achieve the best price for your sales. But before I introduce our guests, I want to remind you about a couple of things. If you're new to our podcast, make sure you subscribe on our YouTube channel so that you don't miss out on any other episodes. And then you can also go ahead and download the Property Investors Toolkit, which you will find on our website. That's savvywomen.co.uk. This amazing toolkit allows you to build out revenue through investing in property, but takes you through 6 simple steps, which is module-led to allow you to build out your property investment business. You may be struggling to know what strategies you would like to start with, or struggling to find those below market value properties. Whatever your issue is, there's something that you can do about it, and that's why we created it. So head over to the Savvy Women Investors website at www.savvywomen.co.uk and pick up this delight for only £37. And if you scroll down in the show notes, you'd also find this wonderful offer there as well. And also all our social media platforms, you can find it in the comments. So that's enough about us. I want to introduce you to our guest today. Nicole Kirk is born in South Africa. Nicole has been living in the UK for 23 years. After being diagnosed of an aggressive, fast-spreading breast cancer in the summer of 2014, life had changed for her. She was forced to reevaluate life, a blessing in disguise, she says, and has now turned her passion into profit by working as a self-employed property negotiator, while still on a daily treatment for her breast cancer until 2025. I'm your host, Sapphire Gray, so let's get started. Nicole, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm really good and really excited to touch base with you again, given all this lockdown that we've had and where the world changed. So
Really
looking forward to it.
And kudos to you for setting up your business as well and continuing to do it, even though you've got health issues as well. A lot of people, when they get into business, they think they're being disrupted because of health issues. What you're showing now is your champion saying, well, I've got health issues, but I'm still continuing to grow, learn, and be successful at what you do. So I really want to applaud you for that, and well done.
Thank you. I think, Sapphire, us women just get on with it, don't we? But anyway, thank you very much.
We truly do. We truly do. So a quick question for you. Is it a good time to sell, would you say?
Yes. Next one. Okay, let me explain.
Yeah.
So you'll know that during the stamp duty holiday that was recent, during the lockdown to get the economy starting again, up to there was up to £500,000 for the stamp duty relief. And it was the busiest time in the industry. And it just hasn't stopped. It honestly hasn't stopped. So to give you an example, I'm sure that your viewers, the savvy ladies looking at properties out there, you are searching the portals. Next thing you see is gone. It's under offer or sold, or the stock hasn't. The stock just seems to be the same stuff out there, and that tells a story in itself. So at the moment, is it a good time to sell? Yes. What we're seeing is that properties, when they go on the market, you're getting almost immediately 20 to 30 viewings secured straight away for the launch of their property.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's been so, as they come onto the market, the stock just goes. And I mean, that is the one thing that in order to run a successful business is to find where is those gems, where is that stock being held? And there's so many places that you can get that from. So what would you say, when you're choosing an agency, what should you look out for?
So I deal with mainly residential sales, and as an agent, so a lot of my work firstly is recommendation. So that's great. You know, you do a good job for somebody, and that's all I ask for really is a recommendation. And I sometimes come across, you know, I'm up against other agents sitting in living rooms as well. And agents, I'm there to give you a realistic value of your property. Firstly, no agent can tell you the value of your property. The market is going to dictate that, how much they are prepared to pay for that. But what I do when I say I give you a value, it is I give you a range, looking at the reports of what is actually sold in your area. Not only have they just sold, but what have they achieved per square footage? So you'll get an agent, and I regard myself as somebody, firstly, I'm a human being before I'm an estate agent or property negotiator. So I'm going to come with a heap of comparables and give you a target price, which I will explain based on these comparables. I advise you to market your property at X. This is what I think you can reach, and this is the strategy. Unfortunately, there are some agents there that just give you a price that maybe you want to hear.
Yes.
And that's very difficult if they've already been in, and my price is not the same, and you can't forget that figure in your head. But I would ask, the question is, well, how did they get to that price? So when you're choosing the agent, don't necessarily go for the agent who's going to give you the highest value of your property and then 2 weeks later say, oh, okay, sorry, you're going to have to reduce your property now, the price, and you're tied into a contract.
And that's so true. And when you're looking at, I've always said to people, when you're investigating properties, make sure it's sold properties. Sometimes agents come and want to take your property or sell your property, but they're showing you comparisons on properties that are currently on the market and what they're on offer for, not what properties have sold in that area. And that's the only true reflection of properties that can be sold, against the amount of bedrooms you may have, or living rooms or kitchens or things like that.
The square footage.
You're comparing like for like. However, there's also another way of looking at it that my understanding is how it's decorated as well, how it's set out, how people walk into that property and feel this is going to be home. Would you agree with that?
I would say 50-50, depending on the state of the property. So for me, my history, Sapphire, is I love 1930s property, and give me avocado bathroom suite, pineapple wallpaper. I'll go in. I can see the potential. I love the 1930s properties, that era, but it's so solid, you know, and you get so much space, you know, if we compare to new build, it's not even a comparison. But I've always loved 1930s properties, and all my purchases, including in this home that I'm sitting in, have had very interesting features. Let's just say that. So even if somebody wanted to, and I once bought a property in the dark without seeing the garden, because I had my eye on the property, but somebody had gotten to it before me, and it like a week before. And I kept in touch with the agent, and I said, if anything happens, just let me, just call me. And I'd only seen it online, and they had one picture of the garden. It was really one. It had velvet curtains in the bathroom as well, and anyway, one of those. And kept in touch with the agent, and just now and again would check in. And then a few months later, just maybe about 2 months later, I got a call out of the blue on a Friday afternoon, and they said, "Oh, Mrs. Kirk, would you still be interested in their property?" I'm like, "Yes, I'll be there at 6:00. It was November, Sapphire, and it was dark. It was 6:00 November.
Mm-hmm.
My husband went into the garden with his phone torch. I didn't even bother to go out there. Walked in, knew it's what I wanted, and it needed everything doing. So to answer your question, 50-50, because they could have painted the hallway. It wasn't going to change the price for me. You know,
True.
I wanted that property. However, if you have a property like I'm currently in at the moment, where I've done all the work, because I've been doing the property up over 9 years, we've just finished the major part of it. Now the stuff that we had already done starting to look a little bit like it could need a freshen up. So if I were to put my property on the market, I will start to your point of when you walk in, have it welcoming, have those yellow, because yellow roses or yellow flowers or yellow is a very positive color. So enhancing that. So yes, in that instance, I will make the effort. But there's certain things. If I could give you an example, I don't know if we're going to touch on that. You know, it's about what should you do to enhance your property? Should I do the work before selling? So I don't know if we're going to touch on that.
Yeah, we will. And I mean, you can mention it now because there's a different, definitely a difference.
Yeah, it all just flows, doesn't it? So, so for example, should you? So I sit in many living rooms, and there's some people say, "Oh, we just want to finish this part of the house. Oh, I'm going to add this." Well, so I'll give you the example of Len and Anne. They were my clients, and I went to their home for the first time. They had been in the property since 1985. And beautiful, big, welcoming kitchen. Oh my gosh, gorgeous. And we go upstairs. I'm looking around, a gorgeous living room, everything. Go upstairs, and the bedroom looked like it was 1982. The bedroom still looked like it was in 1982. And the kitchen had been modernized, bedroom hadn't. And then the bathroom looked like at the time 2021, you know. So you have, and one of the living rooms also looked, I would say, 1990. So you have these different rooms with different areas in itself. So, and my advice was, no, Len, don't do anything to this property. This is a beautiful, it's a family home. Somebody's going to want to put their stamp on it.
True.
So don't change anything. And I walk into homes from 1982, and it does look really great because the owners have really, truly loved it, the property, looked after it, and made it feel like home. And the story there was the buyer who actually ended up buying the property, on day of completion, I go and I meet people at the property to hand over the keys. And it was the little boys. I knew it was his 3rd birthday. The new buyers. So imagine the story. People from 1982 moving, and the new family with a 3-year-old moving in. So I always say I'm in the people business, not the property business, because it's about people.
Absolutely.
And I put the keys in like silver wrapping paper with a balloon, and so the little boy was there, and for his birthday present was keys to his new home. So he got to open it.
And that's really good how you've sort of done that with your business and gifting a new home to them. Obviously they've bought the home, but it's just handing it over and doing that. That's a beautiful story. So why is it important to engage an estate agent that has a success record in selling the types of properties in the area?
So I would say at the moment there's many online agents who with competitive, let's say, pricing, sell your home for £999 or less, or whatever they have out there. And I really want your viewers to take away, if there's something you can take away from this as well, is the cheapest agent is the agent who leaves you with more money in your pocket once the sale completes.
Mm-hmm.
So just to explain, and that's why I use the title Property Negotiator. Yes, I'm an estate agent. I sell homes, but I'm an advanced negotiator. And for you, the client, I will negotiate the best price that the market is prepared to pay at that time. I'm not going to just stick your property on the portals and let it sell. So a lot of these agents who say sell your home for $999, their job is, they work with targets. Yes, get that sold. That's how it works. And I don't work like that. And I don't think that, you should look, you're selling one of your biggest commodities in your life, and so just give it the attention it deserves. So while somebody's commission is greater than that 999, when you think of what they will negotiate for you, they could probably get you an extra, £10,000, £20,000 in some, depending on the level of your property, etc. But the agent could get you more. And when you take away the fee, the difference of fee, it's what you're left with at the end of the transaction. So if you just think about, I would ask anybody to just think about that when they're choosing an agent as well.
And I think it's this whole thing about what you just said. It's about building relationships with your clients. It's not just a faceless business. It's not just, I'm going to give you this amount and it's going to be a faceless business. You have to really look at, how are you communicating with your community? How are you selling their property? What relationships are you building with them? Are they finding you engaging? Are you when it comes to emailing and updating them of the progress that you're making? Sometimes when it's faceless, when it's just a number, we're charging you $1,000, you just feel like it's just a transactional process.
And it's not. And I hope that you get from me and that I'm a person before I'm selling property, and I really do care. I did, prior to this, work in HR for 12 years. I've always been in the people business as well. Another important answer to that question, if I can just also add to it, is the agent's strategy to something to look out for. Two more things: the strategy. Firstly, what is their strategy to sell your property? So, for example, here's a top tip as well. The algorithms of Rightmove show that a Wednesday afternoon is when traffic picks up for property searches, right? If you think about it, Monday and Tuesday, everybody is generally boom, 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 head down, working, blah, blah, blah. Wednesday, they're like, okay, weekend plans. Are we viewing what's out there, what's listed? So I launch properties typically on a Wednesday afternoon, because then it'll have that date, that fresh date of launch, and people start looking. So that's a top tip there. With regards to another strategy is the pricing. When you're pricing, have a look at the Rightmove portals. So, for example, very old school thinking, I call it the dinosaur age of estate agents, when they market at $499,950. Okay, just to explain that, $499,950 doesn't exist on Rightmove. When you are or the other portals. So when you are searching for a property, imagine if you're starting at 500,000 to look for property, will you see that $499,950? No. So your property is missing out on heaps of property. Even the 349,950 doesn't exist. It's 350.
Yeah.
So
add up the numbers basically.
Yeah. So I'll give you a quick example on that, because it's also part of strategy. I had a property my comparables showed me that this property, based on the square footage, based on what's sold, recent sales achieved, could achieve 515,000. 515 is not a figure on the portal. Now, it's not saying that your house is not going to sell, but it's about exposure, right? You want more eyes on your property as a seller. And an agent can never tell you the value of your property. It's the market. So based on the number of properties that were available, I sat down with the owner and I said, this is my strategy. It's coming up at about 515. Based on all the other information, I think we should go offers in excess of 500,000 with a description within a guide price of 500 to 550,000 in the property description. So everybody viewing, this is not to trick people. Everybody who, it would be in the first line of the description, guide price 500 to 550. So like I said, it's not to trick people, but it's telling you, if you're coming to view, this is the expectation of the offers and where we feel the property sits. That property achieved, after negotiation from me, 530.
Wow.
So we had a great open day, attracted everybody who had typed in 500,000 on the portals, and we went up to 550 and achieved 530.
Excellent. That is the kind of thing that you have to do. And if you wasn't a hands-on agent, you wouldn't have known how to price it for your clients and then achieving in excess of that pricing where you thought it should land anyway.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
So yeah, based on the interest on the again, a fully booked open day, fully booked. We did two. We did 2 days, from the one Saturday, the next one, boom, sold. And the last thing on that question, in terms of what you should look out for when you engage an agent, is a contract, Sapphire. So I don't work with contract tie-ins. This is it for me. I say, look, I will only work sole agency because I don't believe it's good to have heaps of agents. What does that message send out to the market? You're desperate, possibly, right? My business does sole agency for marketing a property. I only get paid if your property completes. That's it, right? And I don't tie you into a contract to say you need to be with me for 26 weeks, 16 weeks, etc. If you aren't happy with me, I can have your property removed within 24 hours. And I hope that doesn't happen, but because there should be good communication. But yeah, and that's what I offer. So if agencies are offering a tie-in period, the problem with that is you as the seller, if you're not happy, you don't really have many rights if you've signed away on that. So
I agree. And that's the thing though, when you're working with a proven agent who's got your best interest at heart, you're knowing that you're getting the value from that person because they're only going to do something that is to your satisfaction. And that's why you're probably getting so much referrals, because they liked your method of how you worked with them and the relationship you bought with had with them as well. Just slightly going back, when we talked about improvements of your property, sometimes I always say that you do have to do improvements to maximize on the price. So what would you say you need to do, if anything, to improve on maximizing the price? Improvement wise,
I mean, improvement to you and I could mean the same thing, but to somebody else, I mean, some of my friends, they think the world's going to end if they have to do their bathroom, for example, and whereas I'm like a hammer type of person, I'll knock things around. So depending on, Sapphire, it's depending on what the improvement is. Okay, is it a bathroom regrouting? Is it a steam clean? Are we talking that improvement? Are we talking something where somebody's going to walk in the door and there's going to be a question mark over it for a long time, And if it's been a question mark over your head for a long time, if you found it, this could be a a bit dangerous. I don't know what it could be, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that, yes, that should be the improvement. But you should, what I've done in this property, I underpinned the house, I extended, well, it's all different levels. So I'm afraid, unless somebody could, was to ask me, okay, what should we do? Yeah, because there's also a danger, Sapphire, is people think exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, you've just reminded me of a good example I can give you. I've had a lovely couple. I'm still friends with them. Sold their property, and they lived in their house for 16 years. Amazing property. But the offers weren't just working at the level, that they were expecting. And the feed, and one thing that they didn't have, they had thousands of square footage and no downstairs toilet, right? Mm-hmm. And this is something that they were thinking about for years, They put a downstairs toilet in and they got an offer.
You have to really look at. I know, for one, when it comes to residential properties, your decor, if the property sold on your road and your agent has come and seen you and they said your property is worth 200,000, but property sold on that road is 250 or 300,000, same square footage and everything else, there's an issue with your home. Always look at bathrooms, kitchens, as you just said, downstairs toilets, carpets. If carpets are worn and look tired, replace them, get cheap carpet in. If the paint needs freshening up, freshen it up. If skirting boards are scuffed and look really dilapidated, people's going to price down your property. So there is a playoff on what do you spend to do a refresh to what you can actually achieve. Now, if I spent 5K on just refreshing a property and I could make 50K on that, 100% I'm going to spend the 5K. Yeah, because I know
absolutely
at the back end of it, I'm going to make more from improving it than leaving it alone, because people will always come in and saying, hey, and I've done it myself when I've gone to look at properties to buy and the properties there's no central heating in there or something like that, or the carpets are really worn, the decor is purple. I remember going into a house and everywhere was purple.
Yeah, exactly.
East London, the ceilings were purple, the walls were purple, every room was purple. Favorite color, hey ho. When I walked in there, I myself being an investor, I could strip out my eyes and not see the purple. However, somebody else walking in there, all they're seeing is purple. As soon as they hit the door, once they turn their eyes left and right and see purple, they're walking back through the door because they think it's a lot of work for them to do to change the color purple. And that's the misconceptions as well. When you're looking at refreshing a property, people want to see a visual. Is this my home? This is where I'm going to be paying hundreds of thousands to come and live. And I want to walk in that door with my bags and feel comfortable. So, even if it's just cleaning doors, refreshing, and smells as well. If you've got pets, when you're trying to do viewings, is keep your pets away if you can.
Oh gosh, you need to go for the day. We give. I don't do viewings with animals in the house because I've had. You don't know who's also afraid of animals as well. Once there was a cat that darted around ages ago, and then I had the person viewing who was just flying across the bedroom because she hated cats. So this cat came out from nowhere. So, but yes, and don't take offense if somebody advises you to strip it because purple isn't the very popular.
And not only that, declutter. If your house, you've got your memories in there. If you've got 4 settees in a room that could really realistically only hold 2, then take out the remaining 2. You're planning to move, putting your stuff into storage so people can freely walk around will sell a house much quicker than having a house full of clutter and it's personalized to you. So pictures and things like that, just tone it down so when people come in, they can see themselves living there. And those are all little tips as well, especially keeping the place fresh and tidy, work surfaces clean, and make sure. I remember going into a property where underwear was all over the bedroom.
Oh gosh.
So make sure.
I can tell you something. So yeah, exactly. You walk, and sometimes because of traffic and whatever, and I always try and get there like 15, 20 minutes earlier. But there's times when you've just walked in and then you spot something, you're like, oh my gosh, I've got to go and do that quickly. You know, the job of an agent is also a very interesting one.
Absolutely.
Just on that point of when you said, you know, because you're experienced, you can see beyond all of that. Now, the problem is, and I've got a similar situation coming up because I've been to the property. It's tenanted for many years, the same great tenant. They're leaving now, but over many years, we're talking, they have, you know, clutter, etc., and different colors. I know that it's going to look completely different when it's taken out. The problem is, if you are selling your property and your furniture is still in there, and let's say your property is where typically first-time buyers are going to be attracted to that price level, whatever, and going to make it their home, you know, because we're all at different stages of our lives, you know, because always remember, this is somebody's dream home. You know, you may have moved in 25 years ago, but this is somebody's new dream. And the problem with first-time buyers is they can't visualize things sometimes to say, I don't have the same size sofas, I don't have that fridge, I don't have, you know, so you must make it as, when we talk about neutral, it's not only about paint, but it's about the home, you know, have it as neutral as possible with, to your point of less clutter, minimalist, so that they can actually, when they stand there, they visualize where their stuff can go, you know, but they'll panic if they see something bigger and it's making your space smaller.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You want to give that visualization to your prospective buyers that this is their home. It's not about you. So take the romance out of it, that you've lived there, you've got your kids' height charts on the wall and things like that, because we all have done it. But depersonalizing it is for yourself.
I like that. Take the romance out of it. I like that. I'm gonna use that one.
It's just to say, client, that your seller, you're selling your property. It's a transactional process. They're not telling you that you shouldn't love your family and have your family pictures up there. What I'm trying to say is take those things away so people can, not only that, you've got nosy people, they want to go in your cupboards, they want to turn on your taps. So when you make it easier for them to do that, they feel you've invited them into their future home. And the moment they feel it's their future home is the moment then you'll get into a bidding war, and then you'll get the price that you want and above. But that leads me to my next question. If someone receives an offer very quickly, should they hang on longer to see if the price goes up?
No. So the longer your property stays on the market, the more stale it becomes, firstly. The best offer is, I believe, and I've worked with this for many years now, your best offer is going to come in the first 4 weeks of your marketing.
Right. Brilliant. That's a good tip. And I always say the best offer is where you feel comfortable of accepting. There's been many episodes or many times that I've seen people buy, and all right, so say like we've got a bidding war, and the highest price they could have accepted that. They didn't accept it because the person sort of like that gave the mid-range price, gave them a letter as well, and told them a story of why they wanted to buy that property, what they were going to do with it. And if you're leaving your home for many years, you've been in there for 30, 40 years, and someone gives you this letter and this offer price and says why they want this home, because I want to start my family here, you know, I want to raise my kids, it's a really good home, and that kind of story. People,
yes,
exactly,
because especially when you've lived in there for a while now, I see it quite a lot, I would say, where the highest offer, especially for if you get multiple offers, you know, so the highest offer isn't necessarily, and besides the letter point, isn't necessarily something that a seller takes, is because obviously, is that person in a chain, is also a consideration, and there's nothing wrong with being in a chain, but what does that chain look like? Okay. Absolutely. And So there's that. And in the UK, because nothing is legal until date of exchange or day of exchange. I've seen examples, thankfully not too many, but it has happened where because somebody has a certain amount of money, they've pulled out, just before exchange because they had multiple things going on. Now, things do happen, but when the person who's put in an offer and this was a family home with all different things attached to it, it's a transaction for the person buying, and where this is life-changing for the people selling. So I think people are a little bit warier about that as well. So it's
True.
Who would you like to sell your house to?
Exactly. And it really does come down to choice. And also there's some people that feel that it's not about, so long as they've made what the expectation was, they're happy to go with that. And how fast you can move. If someone comes and says, I can do a cash purchase, I'm going with a cash purchase all day long instead of a mortgage. I'm not going with somebody that's in the chain, because I know it's going to be, there's some hold up, unless all solicitors and people are talking to one another simultaneously. That's the only time that a chain really works. But other than that, cash offer first, if it's a cash offer, or if somebody that's got majority cash or good credit and things like that. Those things
with a percentage, the loan to value percentage, some have got fantastic, so that's why there's nothing wrong with somebody even having a mortgage, because they've needed to just top up, or there's nothing wrong with that.
Excellent. So join us after the break with more insights from Nicole.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button below. Our podcast is only made possible by great listeners like
Nicole. You've shared a plethora of information in our first half of the show. We talked about home improvements. We talked about how using an estate agent and why it's good to make sure you do your research and that they should have a proven track record. So obviously you want to get the best price for your home. In order to do this, what do you exactly need to do?
To get the best price for your home, I would say, is also, if we're talking about when you are live on the portals, ensure that the price that you're going at on the portals is something that has been thought about and also proven by the agent that they have comparables to see that you're marketing at that level. Why I say that is to get the best price for your home as well is because, remember, if there's somebody who is relying on a mortgage and you accept their offer, very often the surveyor actually contacts the agent. And some people don't even know this, but I've been asked many a times for the comparables for a property, sometimes because of the location and there wasn't many recent sales. So to get the best price for your property is also to be realistic with what's going on. And then, as you mentioned earlier, Sapphire, if your home is, let's say, a traditional home, be it if it was rented out or anything like that, it's definitely going to need a freshen up. So invest that little bit to make it sparkly and inviting, so that people can want to buy it, because your little investment can give you many thousands thereafter.
So why is it important to actually search on property portals?
Well, while you're searching and you can see the range of the properties, what they're marketed at, you can also see the square footage. So you can compare, okay, so if I'm expecting X amount, what did that property sell for and achieve? So, because that's a really good start. Okay. And all properties marketed on, for example, Rightmove, need to legally have an EPC, so an energy performance certificate. Through an energy performance certificate, which lasts for 10 years. So you only need to do it once every 10 years. If you've bought the property and it had an EPC, and you're now selling 5 years later and that's still in date, you don't need to do another EPC unless you've done substantial extensions, work with that. So that will change. So the EPC is, if you just Google government EPC or find my EPC, you'll see if your property has a valid EPC, and it'll give you the amount in square meters, and you just convert that to give you a ballpark figure of what the square footage is going to be if you don't have a floor plan.
Excellent. So
sorry, I don't know if that answers the questions about why search on the property portals.
Yeah, because I mean, many people go on property portals, they get confused. What am I looking for? How am I looking for this? And, there is a process about searching on property portals when it comes to searching. And that process we won't go into today, but people put so much emphasis on going on property portals to search. Have you ever offered a search? So you're an agent for the seller. Have you ever offered that service as well, to actually look for properties for them to actually buy?
Yes, because I invest in a product that's not Rightmove or Zoopla, and I have access to all addresses and information on properties that, let's say, haven't sold in 6 years, 9 years, 30 or above. The square, I can detail, the square footage of a property, and I can also write to those owners who I can say, I've got a buyer who'd love to live in your area. Their children are going to the school. If you're thinking of selling, please get in touch. This buyer is under offer or is nothing to sell. So yes, so that's one of the things. But just in terms of searching properties on Rightmove, for example, if you think about it, in the old days, you'd physically go into the estate agent, you look in the window, what they've got listed, go in there, right? That very rarely happens now. So unless you're moving to like a little town, a small town, or further down where you're going for the weekend, you're going to walk around, go and look at the local agents, then you'd go in because you want to make a relationship with these people, right? But if you are in the north of England and even North London, sorry, because I'm in South London, and you're looking to move down here, Rightmove is your biggest shop window. That's why people would use that for searching.
And a lot of people are doing hybrid agencies now, working from home. They don't have a high street present anymore. So having sort of like tools that work behind you as well in aiding your clients to not only sell their property, but also to buy a property, I think is a brilliant setup, because you don't need to have multiple offices to do one or the other. You can just do it under one umbrella. So how do you get an independent professional opinion?
That would be, so I would be, as an agent, I would be, and if that's what you mean, that would be a professional opinion together with maybe another agent. So if you're getting two people in, and that would be your professional opinion, because any agent worth their salt, let's say, should be able to have access to all the tools and justify, what they're saying to you.
Touch with you, I'm coming to you today, and you said, well, I'm an independent agent. I don't know you from nowhere. How do I then source somebody like yourself? How do I go and find someone like you then? I mean, you're going to give your contact details in a minute, but if I didn't know who you was, how would I find somebody like you?
Good. That's a really good question. So I have, I'm on social media, on my page there. I'm on Instagram. So depending on which area you're in, I think that will come up in your Google searches. But for me, I've chosen to. So I'm in South London. I'm actually in the London borough of Croydon. I live in a place called Purley, and I've sold in Fulham. I've had a property for sale in North London, but I specialize in the residential market here. So as I said in the beginning, a lot of my business is word of mouth. And the calls I get are pretty much, oh, so-and-so has said that you've sold their house. They're really happy. So-and-so is a friend of a friend. So it's for somebody like me, it's word of mouth. And my socials, which I'm going to be plugging more into as well.
Definitely. And how can you like when you're attracting your buyers, I mean, you said word of mouth and things like that, but obviously you've got a whole sort of skill set. What makes you different to everybody else?
I'll just go back to what I was saying. I'm a human being before I'm an estate agent. Estate agents have such a bad reputation, and hopefully that changes, but they don't help themselves, sometimes with that, where they just treat you as a number, So how am I different? I hope I've given you an idea of the relationship I have with my clients. I'm there, if a seller says, well, I have to sell my house for X, it's a discovery to see, why do you want to sell why does your house have to sell for X? And this is the journey. Let's see if that matches with me. It's not all about that. It's about communication. Some people haven't sold for 30 years, or they're nervous. So it's just spelling things out really clearly, and it's hand holding, to be honest, as well. So I offer a personable service. And if that's something that you would like to have in your journey, where, I'm not a 9 to 5 person, you can call me up to 9 p.m., and that's something, because everybody's got busy lives. And if you need to speak to me on a Sunday, I even do some viewings on a Sunday, just, if it's needed. So I'm always communicating and available up to 9 p.m. for people. So,
So plug away now. So how, Nicole, how can people, our listeners and our viewers, contact you and learn about your services that you offer?
Okay, so my website is www.kirkenterprise.co.uk. I'm on Instagram, Nicole Kirk Official, that's my handle on Instagram, and I've got Facebook, Kirk Enterprise Estates. Now, can I talk about a freebie?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I guess that give away freebies as well. Go ahead.
Okay. So if you go on to www.kirkenterprise.co.uk, you should see a button towards the right of the screen. It says, see what the market is like for your home. Now, you won't get a call from me or anything like that. If you're just curious, you just click on that, and you'll see a report. It's from Home Search, okay? And that's something I invest in as well. That will give you a brief idea. I can also get you a full report on that, but you first do need to click on that. Then, if anybody wants to contact me for the latest house price index, that will be coming from Zoopla. I've got it here, and to tell you what the market is doing in the whole of the UK, I will email that to you for free, and it's nicole@kirkenterprise.co.uk.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Nicole. See, these gifts keep on coming. So if you want to, you will get all of this in our show notes as well. We'll definitely be posting out all these contact details. You can get Nicole on Instagram at Nicole Kirk Official, Facebook, Kirk Enterprise Estates, website www.kirkenterprise.co.uk, or you can email nicole@kirkenterprise.co.uk. She has a mobile number here. It will be in the show notes. Have a look at that. And don't forget, go to the website to get a free giveaway where you can get a free valuation done on your home. Thank you very much for joining me today, Nicole. It's been absolutely delightful. I've really appreciated your time today, and lots of information that you have shared with myself, my listeners, and my viewers. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in with myself and Nicole. I hope you've really enjoyed this episode brought to you by the Savvy Property Investors Show. Continue listening. Don't forget to subscribe, rate and review, download and share. Every Friday, we will be issuing out a new podcast for you. So go ahead. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And thank you for listening to us today. Thanks, Nicole. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
This week's episode of the Savvy Property Investors Podcast was brought to you by our sponsor, the Savvy Women Group. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's show, head over to our website, www.savvywomen.co.uk, to gain access to our free resources and more insights about our guest speaker today. Remember, we make your business our business, so you can unlock your full potential and improve your quality of life.